You think governments control the world. They do. But not alone. Behind the speeches, the flags, the elections, and the carefully staged summits, there is another layer of power. A layer most people rarely see. It does not command armies. It does not pass laws. It does not need to win votes. It simply owns. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Pfizer. The companies shaping how you communicate, how you work, how you buy, how you heal, and how you live. And behind many of them, quietly, sits one name: BlackRock. One of the largest asset managers on Earth. A financial institution overseeing trillions of dollars for clients, pensions, governments, institutions, and ordinary investors. A company so deeply connected to modern markets that when markets tremble, officials listen. When banks panic, central banks look for data. And when the global economy starts to fracture, BlackRock has repeatedly been close to the machinery of response. But money is not the whole story. Its real power sits in something colder, a system called Aladdin. A risk management and portfolio technology platform built to read markets, debt, mortgages, companies, and crisis signals at enormous scale. Not a crystal ball, not a secret government, something more modern. Infrastructure. BlackRock does not simply react to the world. Its tools are designed to detect risk signals before many others understand what they are looking at. And to understand how one company became one of the silent operating systems of modern finance, we have to go back to the man who built it. New York, 1988. Not inside a palace, not inside a government bunker, not inside some marble tower of old money. Inside a room where one idea began to harden into a company. Larry Fink and a small group of partners wanted to build a firm that would never be blind to risk again. Because Fink knew what blindness felt like. Before BlackRock, he was not the untouchable titan of global finance. He was a Wall Street prodigy, a star at First Boston, one of the men working inside the mortgage-backed securities revolution that would later reshape the world. He was fast, he was brilliant, he was trusted. Then the market turned. Interest rates shifted, models failed, and in one brutal period, Fink's team suffered a devastating loss. On Wall Street, losses are not just numbers, they are blood in the water. His reputation cracked, his confidence collapsed. The prodigy had made the kind of mistake that can bury a career. But something deeper happened inside him. The failure did not just humiliate Larry Fink, it rewired him. He realized the problem was not simply that he had been wrong. The problem was that humans were trying to understand chaos with spreadsheets, instinct, and ego. They couldn't. The global financial system was becoming too complex, too fast, too interconnected. Every bond, every mortgage, every interest rate movement, every political shock, every hidden liability was connected to something else, and no single human brain could see the whole web. So Fink made a vow: never again. Never again would he trust intuition over data. Never again would he let unseen risk hide in the shadows. Never again would he fly blind. That obsession became BlackRock's foundation, and inside that small beginning in 1988, something began to take shape. Aladdin. Asset, liability, debt, and derivative investment network. At first, it was not a mythical machine controlling trillions. It was a cluster of computers, quiet, cold, relentless, built to do what humans could not do alone. Measure hidden risk, map complexity, expose danger buried inside money. BlackRock was not born from arrogance alone. It was born from trauma, from a mistake, from a wound. And as the company grew, Wall Street began to notice something strange. BlackRock was not just managing money, it could help see what others missed, the risk hiding underneath it. Then came September 2008, the month the mask fell off. Lehman Brothers collapsed. Bear Stearns had already been rescued. AIG was bleeding out, and inside Washington, panic spread like fire. The most powerful financial system on earth was breaking in real time. Banks that had ruled the world for decades suddenly could not answer the simplest question: what are these assets actually worth? The answer was buried inside toxic mortgage portfolios, complex, interconnected, rotten. Every major institution had touched them. Every balance sheet seemed exposed. Every executive wanted the public to believe the damage was contained. They weren't. Wall Street had built a machine it no longer understood. But here was the irony. While giants were burning, BlackRock had built the kind of risk machinery governments suddenly needed. Larry Fink's Aladdin had been designed for precisely this kind of darkness, not to predict the future perfectly, but to organize panic into data, to classify the poison, to estimate what could still be saved. Then Washington understood the uncomfortable truth. The United States government was trying to rescue a financial system filled with assets so complex that even the institutions holding them struggled to read them quickly. Not fast enough, not deep enough, not alone. So they made the call, a desperate call, a historic call, to Larry Fink. BlackRock was hired to help examine, manage, and unwind complex assets tied to Bear Stearns and AIG. A private investment firm was brought close to the center of the crisis, quietly, not as a bank, not as an elected authority, but as a specialist behind the bailout machinery. BlackRock became a shadow advisor inside the rescue. And by helping the system, it did not only earn fees, it gained proximity. Proximity to the deepest arteries of global finance, the portfolios, the weaknesses, the dependencies, the hidden map of who owed what, who was exposed, and who could break next. That was the real prize. Because after 2008, BlackRock was no longer just another firm on Wall Street. It had touched the core of the system. It had seen the financial matrix from the inside. And long before the public truly understood its name, BlackRock had become too embedded to ignore. And that is where the danger begins. Because BlackRock has become so deeply wired into global finance that governments do not simply regulate it from a distance. At moments of crisis, they may also depend on its data, its models, and its machinery. When markets collapse, they need information. When debt turns toxic, they need maps. When panic spreads, they need someone who can read the structure beneath the fire. The company built to manage risk has become part of a system whose risks no one fully understands. That is the final irony. Larry Fink's obsession began with one mistake, one failed model, one wound. He wanted to stop human error. He wanted to end the blindness. So he helped build a system that could see what men could not. But in trying to remove weakness from finance, BlackRock became something larger than a normal company. A platform too useful to ignore, a network too vast to understand from the outside, a financial institution whose influence sits inside ownership, data, and infrastructure. And maybe that is how power works now. Not only through flags, not only through armies, not only through speeches, but through index funds, risk systems, and invisible architecture. So the next time a crisis hits, the next time a corporation suddenly changes direction, the next time an economic shock reshapes your life, don't just look at politicians. Don't just look at central banks. Look higher. Look quieter. Look at the glass tower in New York, because the future may not be decided only by the people who rule countries. It may also be shaped by the institutions that hold influential stakes across the companies that rule the world.